What's up out there, everybody? I hope all is going well with you out in your world. I want to thank you as always for stopping by the channel. I'm Anthony DeGioia, and this is the Silver Screen Analysis. Today we're going to talk about Gemini Man, starring Will Smith and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. This blockbuster science fiction adventure is directed by Ang Lee, and it follows the story of an aging hitman named Henry. He's pretty much just attempting to retire, but he soon finds himself as the target of another skilled young hitman, but this is not any killer tracking Henry down. It's his younger clone, one that Henry knew nothing about, that's going to send him on a mission searching for answers. Now, this movie has been in various stages of development for a couple of decades now. The technology over the past years just was not in a place allowing it to move forward, so it never got off the ground. Names like Johnny Depp, even Clint Eastwood, Nicolas Cage, Mel Gibson, and Stallone have over the years all been attached to this one at one time or another, but it never ended up happening, and we get Will Smith in the lead, whom, to be honest, I think is the best choice for this role. Not only does Smith prove that he can still easily carry a blockbuster action movie, but he also just has the range in his personality that was able to fill two different characters within this single storyline. I didn't have the highest expectations for this movie, to be honest with you, despite loving both action and science fiction films. For some reason, the October release date just kind of felt a little bit off to me, as if there wasn't confidence in this project for it to be a summer release, but then it dawned on me that the 2019 summer has pretty much been monopolized by Disney projects, and a window of time never presented itself. So I was actually a little bit more interested, and with the trailer showcasing some revolutionary special effects and tons of action sequences, I had some modest hope for a fall action adventure, and that's pretty much exactly what this movie gave me. Admittedly, the story is the weakest part of this movie. There are some gaps in logic, a handful of conveniences to kind of move the story forward and set up certain scenarios, as well as some bouts of exposition and sections of the progression that are a little bit glossed over, but I think there's still more than enough meat to this script to provide for some character and some overall story development. I think this does make all the visual effects and the action set pieces kind of have some weight and some intensity to them. The performances are great, so you really do care about the characters, the action is frequent, and the issues with the story don't get in the way of this movie being a great time up on the big screen. It's not really a story that needs to be nitpicked about. It's a movie that follows a hitman who's fighting the younger clone of himself, so that should kind of tell you that a grain of salt, I guess you could say. I mean, both the Smiths in this movie had their superhuman moments, much like the invulnerability of Johnson and Statham and Hobbs and Shaw, but still the result was a string of adrenaline-pumping action sequences that I had a great time watching. So who really cares if the story is a little thin on some cohesiveness and some suspension of disbelief is required? This is a summer popcorn movie, and a damn good one, so don't let the fall release date fool you. Smith isn't aiming for an Oscar with this performance. He's aiming to deliver a range of over-the-top action, and I think he succeeds. There are some great fight scenes, some fun shootouts, a couple of excellent chase sequences that are all excellently captured by Ang Lee's direction, and the cinematography from Dion Beebe. The camera work throughout the movie and during the action was very fluid and smooth, with just nice, long, appealing cuts. The rapid editing and the shaky cam techniques are almost all but removed, and the result is some visceral action that put a smile on my face. The story, yes, it may have had some issues, but I think there are still plenty of other great elements to make up for it. I never felt this movie was setting out to be something like an Interstellar, as much as it feels in line with something, I guess you could say, like the classic Arnold actioner The Sixth Day, in terms of focusing on the action extravaganza and the stylizing. The script just takes a simple hitman concept, it weaves it into a science fiction narrative, and the result was a wild ride. There's plenty of vibrant international locations that create some rich backdrops for the action scenes, and with the cast putting in some effort on the stunt work side, the blending of practical and digital effects, I gotta say, was pretty seamless, and it was awesome. Smith and Winstead are right in the middle of many tense sequences, and it effectively pulled me into the chaos with them through the camera work, something that you really do want from a movie like this. But I think they also were able to bring some great performances on the acting side. I think their chemistry in this one with one another felt very natural. The story never forced their dynamic, which made them just kind of feel like real people. I mean, Winstead has this this charm to her that just makes her instantly likable. She was very tough, she was smart, and despite Smith carrying this film, I think she was able to really do a good job of leaving her own impression by adding a lot of layering to the character. And Will Smith was capable and fantastic as usual. Both of him, I guess you could say. I mean, there certainly was more time spent on the current age Smith, allowing him to do what he does best, carry a film with his screen presence alone. I think he brought a ton of emotion to the part, some of his charm, plenty of physical acting and effort to really sell himself as a highly skilled hitman that's just kind of trying to call it a rap. And sure, there's times where Smith feels like Smith because of some of his mannerisms and some of the delivery of the dialogue, but this wasn't a character dive, it's an action movie lead, and he delivered just that. Then as this younger, cloned version of the character, I thought Smith, through his motion capture performance, really brought a lot of emotional energy to the part. The clone has the largest swing in terms of character arcs, with all the amount of self-discovery he goes through, and Smith really layered the dramatic intensity nicely. It was more than enough to lay the groundwork for the effects team to come in and do the rest. I think the visual appearance of this younger Will Smith is certainly going to be the talking point for this movie, and overall, I gotta say that it was a success. It wasn't perfect, but with the degree of difficulty and the things they had this character do, credit must be given for doing a good job of creating a lifelike representation of Will Smith in his 20s. There are some stunning shots that simply look amazing, and then there are some that honestly do not. I actually think the close-up viewpoints were the best. They were the most detailed. Just seeing the tears on his face and all the small mannerisms is very impressive. The more distant shots actually were a little bit distracting and noticeable as being CG. There is a scene in particular where they bring the character right out into the daylight without the distraction of it being an action scene, and I gotta say this is when it was a little bit cringy, but it was short-lived, and overall, the special effects and what they pulled off in creating this character was amazing. It allowed this movie to feel unique and fresh and a little bit unpredictable despite some of its shortcomings on the writing side. So overall, I gotta give Gemini Man a solid 85% on the entertainment meter. I had a great time with this movie, and it was able to do a good job of keeping my attention from start to finish in this era of everything kind of feeling like something else. This movie felt like its own thing, and I can appreciate that. It was ambitious and artistic in its styling, and it creates a just great atmosphere for a science fiction adventure that's going to get you some laughs, it's going to get you on edge with some action, and it's going to engage your interest with some great character performances. And if the option of seeing this movie on the big screen presents itself, certainly do so. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Now for today's My Silver Screen recommendations, I'm going to be selecting the movie that I mentioned earlier, that being The Sixth Day, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, as well as another Will Smith movie called Enemy of the State that I always enjoy, and another solid movie starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead called All About Nina. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk movies with you guys. Share it with your friends, and without question, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can never miss a video. Here are some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them. All my social media links and the link to our official website are down in the description below, and I'll catch you next time.